Bitcoin is starting to fall, and this is the point where it makes or breaks the next few months of price action. If you want to understand why, you gotta watch this video. So here we are looking at our Bitcoin chart again on the daily time frame. We can see that in the past few days we have been falling towards the bottom side liquidity, right? We have went from nearly $80,000 straight to $75,000. Now we did have started a bit of a pullback right here, but it was quickly eaten up again by the sellers, and we're continuing to trend downwards, right? So what is happening? Why is this even happening, right? Well, first things first, we gotta understand what's happening liquidity wise. If we go ahead onto the crypto ETF market overview and check crypto ETF net flows, we can see that from the past few days we have been starting seeing major outflows, right? We were positive with huge inflows coming in daily with hundreds of millions of dollars, and now only recently we have started seeing outflows 2 days in a row. So this of course helps us understand why we have been trending down. Now, along some other news, like the biggest risk to the global markets is back, right? We see that the USD GPI has crossed 160 for the first time in 3 weeks. Now, you got to understand that this is more exaggerated risk than it actually is, because it's not really that serious right now, but it is a real risk because it's one of the biggest macro threats over crypto right now, right? If it breaks over 160, which it hasn't yet, it only touched that line, then the BOJ steps in and we can see forced selling in Bitcoin and other risk assets, just like we've seen in the past. But right now, we're not there yet. So if we're not there yet, there is no reason to panic in the current moment, in my opinion. And we also have the Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell will officially announce the new interest rates today at 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. This could be his last speech before Kevin Warsh replaces him. Now, there is a very highly likelihood that we are going to be having no rates increased, right? We're expected to hold rates steady, but of course there is a risk that the rates could be hiked. If they are going to be hiked, then it's not going to be very good for price action, but they are most likely going to be holding steady. So nothing really impactful to the markets today, right? So heading back to the chart, we can understand now that we have been starting to seeing some net outflows. We are starting to break down, but is this move actually going to be sustained? Are we actually going to be heading down to the $70,000 level? Are we actually going to be start breaking new lows, right? What is going to be happening with Bitcoin right now? In my opinion, all I can see that is happening right now is that we're having a simple, because this whole move up, as I talked in my previous videos, was concise with no or little to zero pullbacks, right? We were just smashing through the highs, and I believe that we are seeing our first natural pullback to clear the lows before we could start trending higher. And now, where are we going to be ending up? I'm not very sure. I do think that if we take a look at the volume profile, we can see that the point of control is listed at around 70 to 67,000 dollars, and we have our largest volume cluster right here. So if we do try and take these bottoms right here, I do believe that the price has the most likelihood to start trending up from right this point up. Are we going to be reaching this low? I don't think so. But if we will, again, then just continue to DCA. If we're starting to break these lows, that's where things are going to be starting to get bad for Bitcoin. Even if we start testing this low right here, it's still going to be looking very, very bearish, and it's going to be making us go deeper inside the $50,000, maybe $40,000 range. Now, this is going to be happening very low in my opinion. I do believe that if we'll solve the Iran and US conflict very soon, I do believe that we're going to be holding up this price action. And I do believe that once things start getting calmer again, that Bitcoin is going to be seeing more risk on appetite, more investors turning from fearful to neutral or positive in sentiment space, right? I don't think enough people have accepted the price level that we're sitting at currently right here either. I think that a lot are still expecting that this is just a fake out and that we're heading lower and lower. I do believe that price has established at this range right here. I do believe that we need to take these lows again for a more healthy price action continuation, but I don't think that enough people have accepted the price that we're at right now, and most of them are still scared of buying the top. If we take a look at our liquidity heat maps, we can see that we are starting to form a large liquidity cluster at around $78.5 thousand range, millions of dollars up for grabs. I do think that the price could start reaching into this range before we start denying again, but it's just a zone to look out for, not something that necessarily must be filled. If we jump on Velo, we can see as well that the open interest is slowly starting to trend down as well. Our funding is relatively neutral. Spot buying is stepping up with this move up right here, so we could start seeing some reversal towards the upside. Perps are relatively neutral as well, so mostly spot dominant, but again, we have a lot of outflows coming through. So definitely a pretty tight range for Bitcoin right now. Why was I stressing about this so much in the start? Well, because you got to understand that right now Bitcoin is sitting at a level where it could start breaking out and everybody could start pricing in that this was 60,000 exactly the bottom, or we could start reversing into these lows, start breaking them, and start even perhaps testing the $60,000 range. If that happens, well, then of course you got to understand that price action is going to be super bearish for the next few months. Of course, relatively the other side is possible as well, where we start breaking these highs, or we just grab these lows quickly and start reversing instantly, pricing in the final bottom, and we would be starting to go bullish for the next couple of months. I really don't believe that we're starting to go back in this range for the next few months as well. I believe that this is all over. We had this range right here. We had this range right here. We're finally breaking out. And in my opinion, this is exactly the moment where we decide if we are going to be going upward for the next few couple of months, or we are going to be getting back in this range, test these lows, and perhaps start turning bearish. So again, very, very interesting zone for Bitcoin right now. I will be keeping a very close eye on it. I'll be sharing my trades on X if you're interested in what moves I'll be taking. But in my opinion, you should really stay careful with buying Bitcoin right now.